Listen.
Hello and welcome to Nintendo Voice Chat, IGN's Nintendo podcast. I'm your host, Casey DeFreitas, and today I'm joined by Janet Garcia.
Hey.
Per Schneider.
Hello.
And Ryan McCaffrey.
Howdy.
I don't know if you guys noticed or if I've gone on our Nintendo Voice Chat podcast forums on Facebook, but this is Janet. She's been there a ton, and now she's joined us as a wiki editor this week. This is her first time on a podcast. This is her first week at IGN.
Damn.
Super excited to have you.
So Facebook is now actually manifesting real human beings out of Facebook posts.
It's true.
You were a Facebook entity, and now
Yes.
you're a real human.
Straight from Submission Sunday.
Amazing.
Which were
Awesome.
great submissions,
Thanks.
which is why you're here.
Yeah.
With a ton of other reasons,
Yeah.
too.
hopefully more than just a submission.
More than just your
I
Sunday
just
submissions.
spammed Facebook
That's
until
it.
you guys were on my
All right, we'll hire her. Fine.
And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see our faces today. I know. It's back. And this is all thanks to Destin Legary, and you can find him on Twitter at Destin Legary on Twitter, which is what I just said. But go thank him. Thank him because he made this possible. He made this super easy to do. We press a couple buttons, and then it gets recorded.
Excellent.
Yeah.
We still messed it up before we started this. We managed to get it wrong anyway.
What?
Yeah. This is
Yeah, before we started.
Yeah. Oh,
it's
yeah.
fine now.
We did. It's cool. It's
Why
fine.
did you have to give that away?
Yeah.
Because
they're not gonna
honesty is the
know.
best policy.
All right, fine.
Yeah, I did have a great 15-minute crash course training on how to do all of this, and the keyboard didn't work, but now it is. And today on Nintendo Voice Chat, we're going to talk about Nintendo stuff. Who would know? But specifically, we're going to talk about VR, which is why Ryan is here, because
Hi.
he is big into Mario and VR Labo, like Labo VR specifically.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about SteamWorld Quest and some news, like did Nintendo just reveal a stage creator by accident?
They sure did.
Nothing's by accident.
That's right.
I'm excited for that. And then, of course, a ton of different question block questions, because you guys sent us a ton on our email. So let's get started. So VR for Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild was announced a few days ago.
Did not expect.
Out of nowhere.
Not at all. So we're going to be able to play Breath of the Wild entirely in VR. Yeah.
No head strap.
Will you?
Yeah.
You can.
But there's no strap. So you'd have to hold it to your head the whole
Yeah.
time.
Just lay down on the ground.
And you basically play with like this, with your hands up.
Yeah, it's
Running the
ridiculous.
Joy-Con.
You're holding it like, so we do have Labo VR in the office. I don't know, by the time this goes up,
It's okay.
will our review be up?
no.
Not
No, we got the copy late, unfortunately. So
yet. Okay.
yeah.
We're working on it.
Yeah, but we have some hands-on, at least with just the goggles.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I think we have differing opinions, but I think Ryan should start first. What do you think, Ryan?
To caveat this, the Super Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild experiences are not available yet.
And we haven't built the bird butt
Will be
yet.
available
Yeah.
on April 25th.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So I only breezed through a number of the mini games
Yep.
that are just in there. I thought they were all pretty terrible, honestly. And I like VR. So
Yep.
I have a 7-year-old daughter, and we've been having a genuinely great time. I think Labo is actually underrated in general. If you're a gamer without kids, okay, I could see how it's probably not for you. But if you have a kid of the right age, probably I don't know, 10, maybe 12 or under, like I really think Labo is a fun parent-kid activity that mixes a little. You get a little video game time in there, but you're building it together, and the two of us, we've had a great time with it. But yeah, like trying out the cardboard headset goggle thing with these little mini games, it felt like the mini games were thrown together in an afternoon by Nintendo designers, and
Some of them are barely mini games.
So we should
It's,
caveat
you
that.
know-
So the section we got to try, we haven't gone into the bigger stuff yet. The
Right.
section we got to try were specifically, it's a little mini game collection that you can play while
VR
holding the
Plaza.
goggles up. So
Right.
without building the bird butt or
Absolutely.
the
So-
elephant or whatever all the different
It,
contraptions
it,
are.
it literally will.
Yeah.
It only gets better. Like we've played the lowest common denominator of this Labo kit.
And so just so people know what they are, it's basically they're very simple physics tools. One is where you swing a baseball bat. One is where you drive a car around from a third-person perspective. And one is, like little rag dolls, like little animal dolls.
There's a basketball one.
You take one of the controllers off and you still hold the Labo VR to your face with the left hand, and you can grab the animals and like shake them around. But that's it. They're very, very simple, like gravity-based things.
Yeah.
Were you able to play it, Janet?
Yeah, I was able to get
Yep.
a little bit of time with it.
What do you think?
It's okay. It feels a lot like, and a few people in the office agreed with this, those viewfinders or the Viewmasters you used to
Yeah, the
use as a
red,
kid
yeah.
where you like lift it up to your
Yeah.
face and flip through. So as far as VR, having come from like the PSVR background, it definitely feels more like you're looking into a portal and sort of interacting with that rather than being like fully immersed in the experience. Now, of course, like I don't think anyone was expecting like a full-on like VR experience from this little like cardboard toy, but it definitely kind of lacks the core appeal of VR, which is the immersive aspect. It's hard to really feel like you're in a new world and participating
right.
in it when you're holding like, you know, half the Switch in one hand and then the Joy-Con in the other. That's one reason that even though they're a pain, like the PS Move controllers are so essential to like a really good VR experience. Not that the DualShock 4 is bad, but
Right.
yeah, it kind of lacks that. So it feels a little bit more like you're looking into something, you're like fiddling around with it in a very baseline way, but it's not really anything that's phenomenal.
It's like it's a very safe kind of construction project / my first VR setup,
I
right?
was just thinking Fisher Price, my first VR kid.
And not to be disparaging, it is obviously a toy that you build and you try out these different functions, and some of the appeal is in the cardboard constructions, which we haven't built the advanced stuff yet, but the basic mini games are very, very simple. If you've played PSVR, you will look at them for 15 seconds and you're out. As far as visual fidelity goes, I was actually surprised at how, like, I was expecting it to be super blurry compared to the PSVR, which is already blurry as well, right? And the PSVR is 1080p. This is 720p on the little screen that you strap to your head. But it's all right. They did some cool tricks. It's not visually impressive. Everything is very Wii Sports like, super simple. But when you move your head fast, they do this motion blur to prevent you from getting sick. And I actually wasn't feeling queasy.
Yeah,
it's definitely not immersive because of that.
But
Yeah.
that said, I am as the person that gave Super Mario Odyssey a 10 out of 10, and
Oh, that was you.
that was me, and it might be my favorite game of the generation so far,
Wow.
even though I don't know how we define the generation with regard to Nintendo anymore. Certainly, it's my favorite game on Switch. I'll say that. I am really, really curious to see what the VR experience for Odyssey is like. Apparently, it's 3 mini missions across Cap Seaside and the Luncheon Kingdom. So, I'm not expecting any sort of like grand expansion pack level total new experience, but I want to see what it's like to theoretically be in that world, if that's sort of how the
me
experience
too,
is gonna
especially
be.
because it's going to be the first time we really see like full-on support for Odyssey. Now we did have like Balloon World, but I don't know about you guys, I didn't really like dig into that a whole lot, and
Yeah,
it wasn't really
just a
that
little bit.
appealing because that one was more like inviting players to create content for the game. This is like Nintendo specifically designed this with this hardware, if you want. It's cardware. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Hardware, we call it.
hardware
Yeah.
with this hardware in mind. So I'm really excited to be able to look around and kind of play around like that. I know, in the show notes we mentioned comparing it to like Astrobot, which was, everyone like loved that platformer that got a chance to play it in PSVR. So I'm really interested in like putzing around there because it's going to be specific for it. As far as Breath of the Wild, it's like, okay, we're kind of just tacking that on. And, even though cardboard VR is way different than like PSVR or Oculus, like those experiences are always better when they're designed with the platform in mind.
It's, I mean, and again, they don't let you strap the goggles to your head because presumably, it could fall. It's not a very sturdy construction.
Well-
Like, you don't want your screen to fall. And so Zelda is a game where you need your 2 hands to play it. You want to
Tom is
be
going
immersed.
to come up with a solution for
What
that.
what is Tom's solution?
He's going to make a head strap
Out
Of course,
pie?
Tom will
out
make
of
one.
Out of
absolutely
pie.
out of pie crust, so you can
Yes.
eat it when
Yeah.
you're done. No, out of cardboard, I assume, and duct tape probably. You can just duct tape it to your face. I don't know. Even playing just those mini games for just a couple of minutes, I just keeping my arms up with my hands
Yeah,
next
our-
to my face. Your shoulders are gonna get sore.
Our,
It's
our-
a trap workout.
Our ever cynical reviews editor Dan Stapleton said, "I hope he doesn't mind me relaying this, but
we've been
Oh no, he's
quoting
been
him.
publicly
Tweets.
hateful.
he said they probably didn't put a strap on it to wear on your head because they know you're not going to want to use it for more than about 30 seconds at a time for until your shoulder gets
no.
tired."
But it may have gone into the thinking that they know the limitation of the display, being 720p, that you don't want to stare at it for a long time. And then Zelda does not run at 60, right? A lot of these simple demos run smoothly, and even then they introduce this
Mario.
motion blur. Zelda it might make you feel queasy if you spend too much time in that world.
There's kind of on one other serious note too. What's interesting is most VR is rated for older children physically, not the
Like
game
me.
experience. Yeah, like and the Labo VR kit says 7+, and it's like, I mean, every parent's different. I'm certainly not judging anyone or saying what anybody should or shouldn't do, but I don't know yet how I feel about handing my 7-year-old daughter a VR thing to hold up to her face. Like, she's got young, developing eyes. Like, I don't know, I don't know if I want her having a screen right up on her, literally on her face.
Luckily, her arms will get tired after 10 seconds, so probably not enough time to cause damage.
And maybe
there.
that's it. So I don't know, but it's just another consideration too. As you're, I'm so glad that Labo has survived. I don't know if we don't know if it's thrived, but it's when it came out, at least among the hardcore Nintendo audience, it seemed to fall fairly flat, but it's clearly done well enough that we're on to, this is what, pack number 4 now, I think? We've had the initial, there's like been 3
pack
other
number
kits,
4,
right?
and then you get the half packs with this one. So clearly it's something that they're internally excited about. It's something that they use for education as well. I think it's a perfect tool set for, coding classes where they teach young kids to code. I think it's just such a creative little project. I understand the pushback against the lack of permanence, right? I have a ton of cardboard. I don't know where to put it now either. And I actually recently, Target was dumping them for $17 to $20, all 3 kits, and I bought extras. I'm just going to keep them for the future because
you're going to give them out as Christmas gifts.
No, I'm going to wait till they're worth $100 and I'll make 80 on each. I'm never going to sell them. I'm just going to sit on them like Smaug on a horde and be happy that I still have them in 20 years when there's no more cardboard in the world because all the trees are gone.
Well, Amazon will have used all the cardboard.
That's right.
Yeah. I reuse those boxes to return the things I buy on Amazon.
You pack stuff in Labo?
No.
Okay.
She meant Amazon boxes.
Yeah, Amazon boxes.
Oh, I know.
Well, one thing I was pleasantly surprised, you can wear these, the VR goggles with Labo with glasses perfectly comfortably.
Oh, yeah. That was great.
Which is really nice because usually that's a problem.
The Switch is a very large screen
Yeah.
if you hold it up to your face.
You can really tell the pixelation is very apparent when you have it that close as well, which is kind of a different experience from the other like Oculus and PSVR.
Yeah. You have to calibrate your expectations accordingly.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't going to be the HTC Vive.
Yeah. No.
It's just
I
not.
will say it was still like amusing to try out though, and I'm like still interested to see, like, especially when we build the other like aspects of it, like the bird butt and all that weird stuff. Like, I'm excited to try it out, and I think that is the one really nice thing about this, and it is a toy, so it's like VR in general always feels more playful to me than other gaming experiences that you can have in the modern era. So I think that still is like kind of an appeal point. You're not really going to get, this isn't budget VR, but it is kind of like, hey, a new fun weird experience that you can only get this cheap on this platform technically, even though it's not like full on VR, but it's pretty fun just to try out.
I agree. And even just building all of the contraptions together with your kid or a friend would be a fun experience.
I'll be doing that.
I'll
report back after I build this stuff with my youngest and we've tried it all out.
Even like we did the steering wheel and it's sort of this, truck mini game where you sort of drive around this world and you can do jumps and stuff. We barely played that. Like, that was sort of a neat little reward for when she finished. We finished building it together, that she got to sit down and play it. But the actual building of it was the fun part.
That's it. Yeah.
And
Tinker crates.
And you can lie on the floor and just put the VR goggles on your face, so then you don't.
So if you're like, you got the David Hasselhoff drunk with a cheeseburger in one hand, switch.
But then
VR
when you look
together.
left, it falls off.
Oh no!
Just don't look left.
Okay, so you have to stare
straight ahead
at the sky in Zelda.
So that's Labo VR. The Mario Odyssey and Zelda experiences will be out on April 25th.
Okay.
When does Labo VR release? Is it tomorrow or next week? I'll look that up.
It might be. It is April 25th.
All of
it's
it
just
comes out
out.
April 25th.
We've got it.
It's just the embargo is out
The
on Friday.
embargo's tomorrow,
Yep.
which is today if you're watching this or listening to this now. But hey, so we also got a really exciting game into the office, and I think all of us have gotten a chance to play, maybe?
I have not had a chance
You have
yet.
not had a chance.
Aw.
Well,
I'm only
wait.
admiring from afar.
Did you
Until
play
what we
Dig?
can tell
Did you
you.
play Dig too?
No.
You have to
I
play
know.
that. You have to play Dig
I know.
too.
I think everyone is telling everyone that. You have to play SteamWorld Dig too.
Your daughter would like it too.
But SteamWorld Quest is coming out April 25th as well. And we have it in the office, and a bunch of us have been able to play. I played it for 4 hours on the plane last night, and I did not fall asleep on the plane.
Nice.
And that is a feat.
On your from your Florida trip.
Yeah, so I actually wasn't here last week because I was on vacation and camping in Florida, and it was a fun time.
I wasn't here either, though. You guys,
Oh, no.
well, the people who did the podcast who were not in this room fooled me.
What?
I started listening to the show, and they're
Yeah.
like, and with us, we have Per Schneider, and Brian Altano said, hello. And I thought
think
it
that
was
was you?
I thought it was an old episode, and I was about to like switch to the next
Oh
one.
no,
And I'm like, ah,
I thought he was you too when I first
That was so
heard
good.
It was
Yeah.
a really good pair.
yeah.
that's really
Yeah.
funny.
And
And
we're back.
Zach isn't here because it's his birthday, and Brian's not here because he's
Because it's his birthday. What kind
Well,
of
his-
his
excuse is
parents,
his
that?
parents are here.
surprised him.
Zach
His
and I
parents
share
came
the
in,
same
yeah.
birthday, by
Oh,
the way.
what?
Yeah.
Happy birthday!
It was
Pear. Oh,
yesterday.
no.
And Jackie Jing, too,
Yeah.
at
Oh,
IGN.
it's,
We've got
what
triple
is this?
Triforce.
This
The
is a
IGN
conspiracy.
It's the IGN Umbrella
Yes.
Academy.
Yes.
You guys all have weird powers.
Yeah.
That's why you have that
You know,
tattoo on your wrist.
I have
I
the
was
power
gonna
to
ask about
annoy.
that.
That's right.
But-
So you played it for 4 hours and you
Yes.
hate it.
No, I love it.
Okay.
I really, really enjoyed it. There were very few aspects that annoyed me. And I honestly, so Zach actually has a note here. It says Zach couldn't make it, but loves the character's writing battle system, but is not into character-specific card post-death and how everything is prohibitively expensive.
I see. Yeah. So what happens in this game? So the cards are like spells and attacks that you can use. You always get at the start of a battle, you get a deck, and then you can, you depending on whether you have the steam power and the points to play them, you can play them in sequence. And so you have some cards that will generate the power and some that use them. And so you kind of have to order things. The cards are character specific. If one of the character dies, the cards are blocked out. Now,
But they still take up space in your hand.
yeah, but you can, every round you can replace 2 cards with new ones. So you can do a random redraw, but you might get a dead character's cards again. So I can see that, but Zach, dude, don't let your characters
Yeah,
die.
just
What the
don't
hell, man? Yeah, it does get more tough.
Get good, Zach.
Yeah.
I-
And there are revive items, so I mean, you can use an
Yeah.
item to bring somebody back.
But
you
they
just
are
have to pay
very
for them.
expensive.
Yep.
Like even just the basic healing items are 80 gold a piece,
Yeah.
and they're still like I can buy a new card with 300, so I don't want to spend the money on the healing items.
Yeah, so some impressions. It is a more linear RPG. So even though you obviously you develop your characters, you can equip items and accessories and get more cards and even have a merchant craft cards for you. You are going into an area, you can explore it, you can avoid some enemies by going around them, or you can like in Paper Mario do like the first strike
Yeah.
attack to get an
Some
advantage.
extra damage.
But the areas are very finite, and once you finish the final boss of an area, you exit. And then it'll tell you, oh, you found 60% of the treasure. You can actually go back in, find the treasure, and then quit at any time you have the treasure. So that's nice. So it
Yeah.
has this system. I know Tom is a little annoyed that you still have to go back in, that you can't see while you're in the level that you're missing some of the treasure.
Yeah.
I think that was his only negative feedback.
But
But
being able to
I actually
leave
dig
whenever
it.
you want instead of having
Exactly.
to finish is what makes that okay, in my opinion.
And then so the game systems are super fun. I'm not a big card game player. I like this. This system is similar to a Paper Mario game where it just kind of feels like you can string together things in succession. For example, there may be a card that if you play a card from another team member after, you get a bonus and the 2 team members team up. So it has like that character's face on it. So you want to play it before you play another one. If you play 3 cards by the same character, you unlock another bonus tied to the primary weapon. So it's really strategic and it's really fast and fun. You can hold a fast button. I think it's really good too.
Yeah, I really appreciate the fast button because usually with turn-based RPGs, it gets kind of slow. So just being able
Yep.
to hold a button to speed things up, and you can do that in the overworld too to run faster. It's the same button.
It's the Nintendo Switch. I'm playing portably right now. Let's move this along
Yeah.
button.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
What do you
I've
think?
only done a couple of battles, honestly, so I have like 30 minutes of
Yep.
it so far. It's all right. I really like the animation. I think the writing can be really good. Sometimes it's a little bit hokey, like it gets too jokey, and I'm like, it's a little.
They're
little
dad
cringe.
jokes.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like when you make too many of them, I'm like, okay, it's dialed back. But it's all right. I'm not really into card games or like strategy games as much. So like as from like an outsider's perspective, it's a little hard to say because I've only done 30 minutes. But I do enjoy that it feels like a little bit intuitive in the sense that like if you don't really read the cards that carefully, you can kind of get away with stuff and kind of just
Yeah.
start figuring it out. Because honestly, that's the big drawback for me when it comes to like real life card games and board games. Like I can enjoy playing them, but figuring out the
Yeah,
rules.
the learning
and
curve.
yeah, the learning curve is just like so off-putting to me that I'm just like, oh my god, can we do something else that won't take 7 hours to set
Yeah.
up, like in real life board games?
Yeah, no.
They've got.
Yeah, it's a little bit of that.
You can
virtual, but-
hit minus on any card and get a quick description of
Yeah.
it, which is really nice. But I think once you play more, you probably only have 2 characters in the
Yeah.
party right now. So yeah, you need that third person for the variety of attacks too. And what you can do is you can look at the enemies and see their weak points, and so then fire, electricity, whatever, like physical
Right.
attacks. You kind of start being much more
And
strategic.
the descriptions
about
are
it.
actually not that long, just
Yeah.
for like people
Yep.
listening. They're, it's like literally
2 or
like
3
2 or 3
seconds.
stats. Like it's not too much,
Mm-hmm.
but when you really want to like, depending on how much you care about having like a really good playthrough, it might get kind of cumbersome after a while. And there's also 3 different modes too. There's an easy, like a medium, and a hard. So like maybe if honestly someone like me probably should start on easy, but I always just start on normal because I just prefer to jump into that experience, get a sense of what the game's like. I also really like some of the attack names. Like I'm really early on, but like the book bash move is hilarious because you just walk up and smack someone with a book.
Yeah.
So I do think there's like a lot of charm and personality there. So I'll check it out a little bit more and see if it grabs me as it starts to open up too. Because even though it is very linear, in those very beginning parts, it's like walk to the right, hit A, walk to the right. And so I'm hoping that it'll...
There are more branching parts for paths for sure, and then there are hidden areas where you can find treasure. Like you'll have to hit an obstacle and it breaks apart, and you get through to an area you didn't know existed. But yeah, it's good animation, really good. It's a cute and good-looking game, and it is more of an RPG light. Like
Yeah.
you are not going to have this massive inventory of things. It's very focused, but it feels like it has enough. It has enough variety so that all of the things you find and equip are meaningful. It's not just equip the latest item. I actually went back to an earlier item after finding a new sword because I just like the attacks better for the first
I'm
one.
still using the first book from the gosh, I don't remember her name, but the alchemist.
Yep.
Because it once you use 3 cards at the same time, she puts up mana barriers for all of your
the
characters.
barrier is great. Yeah.
And that is just so important to keeping your characters alive.
Yeah.
And I've just found that significantly more useful than her damaging abilities.
Yep.
Because I mean, I got enough damaging.
And it's $25. So,
Yeah.
that's not bad at all. And it's out the same day Labo is, the 25th.
What impresses me the most is how Image and Form just they keep moving through genres. They've done tower defense, they've done this kind of open world side-scrolling game, and now they're tackling RPGs. It's just really cool.
The degree of difficulty on that
Yeah.
is a lot harder than it sounds because
Yeah.
most developers, they get good at something and then they keep getting better at it and refining it, and it's tough to jump genres.
Yeah, and turn-based strategy they did before that as well. So it's just kind of cool to see them apply the SteamWorld characters and world and music to these different genres. I'm digging it. I'm just thinking about playing tonight again. So yeah.
So Smash came out in December, but I think I'm going to jump back in very soon because Update 3.0 is coming out soon, and we expect Joker and a bunch of other stuff to come out, including the level editor and stage creator, which I am super excited for. I don't know, did any of you guys ever mess with that in any of the previous Super Smash Bros. Games?
Yeah, to make inappropriate looking stages.
I mean,
I did
every
not do
single
that.
time. Every time.
Thank you, Janet. I did. With the Wii U version, you could create some pretty cool looking stuff, And if you just Google the stage creator, you'll find people who created master swords and really cool lava stages and all that. I thought it was really cool. I remember for Brawl, IGN actually we created a microsite where you were able to upload your saves because Nintendo, of course, back then didn't build it into their game. So we actually did something where you could export your save, put it online, and we shared them. We created this little database.
Nice.
We ran
That's
that
really cool.
for a while. Yeah, it was a cute little experiment.
So this was something, it was caught in a commercial, Smash commercial, and someone just saw it, and I guess that's how it leaked. I think Jonathan Dornbush actually noticed this.
Yeah, it's in a blurry shot in the lower right corner.
Yeah.
You can clearly read it though when you zoom in. So I don't know if they were seeding that. Sometimes companies are sly with their marketing.
It was on purpose for
You
sure.
think so?
There's no way that slipped
Create
through.
hype.
So many people have to sign off on a trailer like
Yeah.
that before it goes out.
But it was a very mainstreamy commercial. It wasn't something that any of us would be interested in watching. It had like kids going like, yay, like
but
playing. So I don't know, man. I think this one may have slipped through.
Maybe, I mean, if they had just announced it like stage creator coming, would it have produced less hype than we found this thing,
I don't
right?
know.
Like
I don't
maybe? I don't know. I have no idea.
I mean,
Let us know.
not
at least
marketing.
At least
people.
we're starting to learn about it though, because
Yeah.
the 3.0 announcement at the Direct was just the silliest thing. It was like,
Please
hey,
be excited.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a 3.0
Yeah.
update coming.
And
Great.
in general,
Thanks,
Nintendo's
guys.
never like great about their updates. Like even like I'm still playing Splatoon 2 a whole bunch, and like in game they're like, "There's an update.
Oh, yeah.
Check the website." I'm like, I'm not gonna check the website. Like,
They've gotten better. For the latest Splatoon update, they actually provided a little bit more information.
yeah, like
So,
I really wish that more like companies followed the at least like EA for FIFA model, where it's like it pops up immediately, and you can just hit X to like,
Yeah.
get out of it,
Yeah.
or in this case A. It's all mapped weird, but I really wish they had something a little bit more transparent as far as that stuff.
Well, this one is going to be pretty obvious, I think, when it drops. What do you think? Do you think they'll have some other new modes in addition to that?
I think if they're calling it the 3.0
I think so, too.
update, there's going to be more
Yeah.
to it.
There's
yeah.
definitely going to be more stages. I'm hoping for some Persona stages.
Well, you'll definitely get one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One
Yep.
stage. But no, hopefully. I mean, but the stage
There's a lot of
creator-
stuff in this game already.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
too
They're
much
right.
stuff.
But the lack of stage creator was the biggest complaint by my group of friends because we used it a lot in our like we have tournaments all the time when I go back home, and we would always use the stage creator to make unique, interesting maps because we would always play with 8 players, and sometimes you want something different.
What
that
kind of
doesn't-
stages did you make? Were they like
I was
themed
gonna
on
say-
something, or were they just like
this is gonna sound really lame, but we have I'm sorry. So we have like a group of like 40 of us that go on this camping trip every year, which is what we did.
40?
Yeah. And we all have played games together. Like when Monster Hunter came out, we all played Monster Hunter together. We all played Smash Online together. Final
There are
Fantasy,
40 people
ESO.
who go camping and play Monster Hunter?
Okay, the Monster Hunter is
What do you
more
think
like
they're camping
it's
for?
like 15, but 15
Okay,
out
that's
of the
still a
40
lot of
is still
people.
I don't,
pretty
I
much,
don't,
right?
even, have,
immersive
I don't even have
Monster
40
Hunter.
friends.
No.
I don't know.
15 people with the same game.
10 years in the making.
That's impressive.
But
yeah.
I try. Yeah.
So
But,
what stages did you make?
So we have like a logo because we're teamwork. And
Okay,
it's
that
like
is lame.
Yeah, I know. It's team. I know it is lame, but we love each other and it's fine because we are full of teamwork. But we have like a T logo. I don't know. I'll
Aw.
share it. So we made stages with the T logo
Okay.
with moving platforms going up and down in the center.
Yeah.
And then I have to get a screenshot
Okay.
of it.
I have
online
so
and
many
share
follow-up
it.
questions, but none of them
But-
are Nintendo related.
No,
so we'll
that's
save it
totally
for
fine.
later.
We'll save
That's
them for
cool
later.
though.
yeah.
I'm not cool.
I was
I'm
expecting,
super big lame nerd.
Well, I do like
Right.
seeing how people go about it.
Also inappropriate stuff.
Yeah,
You know,
Of course. I'm glad you guys are mature.
we're the most mature.
and for mature.
Hey, you signed off on hiring every one of us.
It wasn't me. It was Brian Altano doing an impersonation
Harris, like to be
of me.
honest, I wasn't
Hello.
really paying attention. I was just on Netflix.
Oh, very good.
So there is a Twitter account called "Can You Pet the Dog" in the video game.
That's right.
Just
I'm
doing
getting-
great work.
Yeah, it's at "Can You Pet the Dog" on Twitter.
Yeah.
So check that out. It is really like the best Twitter account in the world. And
really is.
For April Fools, instead of doing "Can you pet the dog," they said you can pet the dog, but they would show screenshots of petting cats, and that was my favorite April Fool's goof. But Enter the Gungeon added dog petting after they were called out on Twitter for not being able to pet the dogs in Enter the Gungeon.
What a great update.
That's so cute.
That's cool.
Yeah, with great power comes great responsibility for this Twitter account. This is the best video game, or not even video. This is the best Twitter account since CEO Kaz Hirai, where it just became crucial to the industry.
But do you think this is like the bullet holes in games? It used to be that you shoot a wall in a game and it wouldn't leave a bullet hole, and then now every shooter has to have it. Like,
Yeah, you
do you
gotta
think every game of the future will
Yes.
have a
Yes.
petable dog if there's a dog in the
Yeah.
game?
Yes,
has-
unless
Okay.
the dog is dangerous. Because I remember they did for Inside. They're like, for Inside you cannot pet the dog, and someone's
I
like,
see.
you should not pet the dog in Inside.
yeah, that's.
I don't
probably
think
right.
the
Or
Call
it
of,
is a rabid
the
dog.
Call of Duty Nazi Dobermans are probably going to
They
be
should
off
let you
limit.
try.
Resident
and then
Evil?
just, punish you.
You pet the dog.
You can try. Pet the dog.
No.
See what
Sounds great.
happens.
All right.
Be punished for it.
But yeah, it's a really fun account. It's like my favorite account on Twitter next to, I think it's called Ditto Electrode, like the little tiny like Electrode
Oh,
Ditto.
yeah.
And it's just pictures of it just being cute, doing things.
Of Ditto. Is it electrode? Ditto as an electrode, or
Yes,
just,
it's Ditto
yeah.
as an Electrode. I can't remember the direct name of the account, but look it up. It's great.
Can those same people that run the Can You Pet the Dog account make like a can you make Half-Life 3? And just keep tweeting it at Valve over and over until it happens.
Is it Half-Life 3 and then every time a new game comes out, just say no?
Right.
You got to be on brand here. It's got to be Advance Wars.
Also, it's called Ditto_Electrode.
F-Zero.
And it's
All
just
right.
Ditto is Electrode.
F-Zero will be back.
Just being cute, just sitting in places. That's it.
It's just it's a photo account.
You know who could do, seriously, actually, you know who could do F-Zero really well, I think? Because give them a little,
Nintendo.
well, okay, answer me this. I actually don't know.
Yeah.
Where's the original team? Do they still exist? Like, are they still together?
Yeah.
Okay,
they're
so
still there, but remember, GX AX was made by AM2 Sega.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying if they wanted,
Amusement
if they did
Vision,
want to
AV.
outsource it, I just reviewed a game, sadly not coming to Switch, but Dangerous Driving, which is from the original creators of Burnout.
Yeah.
And there's a awesome sense of speed in that game. Like you are flying down the tracks at 200 miles an hour. They could do. You give them a little nice budget and some resources. They could do a nice F-Zero.
Yeah, I think there's. I mean, there are a whole bunch of competent racing developers, and racing games are sometimes a hard sell, right? Especially without licensed cars. When you're not a Gran Turismo or Forza, it's tough to break through. I would love to see them bring it back. You
How
know?
did we get to
That's my
racing
dragons.
games?
I don't
Casey.
know. But there are no licensed cars in F-Zero, so no budget.
Because Ryan's on the show.
Okay.
No, he brought it up. Hare
Yeah.
brought it up.
Sorry.
Don't look at me. It's not my fault.
Yep.
We're going to make a swear jar.
Okay.
And everyone's going to have a topic.
Okay. All right. Advance Wars.
Nice.
There you go. Put it in. But hey, so what has everyone been playing recently? I know we talked about SteamWorld Quest, but anything else?
I'm
Ryan?
still playing Yoshi's Crafted World in co-op with my daughter.
Same.
That's so cute.
Yeah, it's
I'm not playing with your daughter, but I'm playing co-op as well.
It's a really good parent-kid co-op game. That
Yep.
seems to be my theme this week, which is fine because you can play it in traditional co-op where you both have your individual Yoshis and you're both picking up eggs and attacking enemies and platforming through the level. But in her case, like she said, she's 7. She's not like she's okay with the controller, but not like super comfortable overall with. Certainly not with a platformer. That's I don't know how the heck I started with platformers with Super Mario Brothers.
That's all there was,
right? I mean, you're right,
Nice.
but that's neither here nor there. But so what I like about Yoshi's Crafted Worlds co-op is one player can just hop on the other Yoshi's back, and then you're just the gunner, basically. And so I can do all of the platforming, which is the more difficult, dexterous work, and then she can just shoot the enemies with the eggs that we pick up. So, yeah, been having a really good time with Yoshi's Crafted World
That
with her.
sounds like a really thoughtful feature.
All Nintendo's so good at that. I don't think they get enough credit for the thought they put into features that help parents play with their kids.
Yeah.
Just even Mario Brothers, just got re-released on Switch, and it has these kind of help functions to let you get through a level more easily or have easier players and all that. It's just great. Captain Toad's also really, really cool now with the update in co-op. If you haven't downloaded that
I need
yet,
to play that.
It's so hard to die in that game. It's more about puzzle solving. It's really perfect for younger kids too, but it has some good stuff in it. I'm playing Yoshi as well, but I've gone back to playing single player because the some of the flowers and coins are actually pretty well hidden. So I like the kind of like I'm almost at the end of the level. I'm like, dang, I missed the
Yeah,
flower.
you gotta
and
go
I go back and you try to figure out some of the mechanisms that let you get to them. It's a very easy game. It's hard to die in that game. But if you don't pick up any of the costumes, it's a little bit more difficult.
You get between like 3 and 5 extra hit points if you have
So-
a costume.
Really?
So if
Yeah,
you
depending on which one.
anybody who's an experienced player, just leave the costumes off.
Yeah. But
They're
they're so
cute,
cute.
but it
Yeah.
just
I
it
wanna
makes
be
it
a
so
trash can.
easy. There's no challenge in it at all. So yeah. You're looking at me like I'm going to still wear the cardboard.
Well, yeah, they're adorable.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd rather
I
look
lost.
like a trash
The
can.
Bullet Bill
Yeah.
one's good, where the arms just kind of flap around.
You
on
can,
the Bullet
you can
Bill.
just let yourself get hit a couple times, and then you can still look cute for the rest of the level.
Okay, we'll do that.
But yeah, that game's really good. I was working on the walkthrough for it. I just did some game capture for the Hidden Hills, like the challenge levels, those are really, really hard and really like well designed. I do think it's kind of unfortunate that with like some of Nintendo's co-op, like it works really well for like the parent-child thing, but not super well for just like two apt players playing
Experienced
together.
players?
Yes, because like I know with the co-op, a lot of people said the same thing you said, Ryan, where it's like, oh, with my kid it's perfect because they can just like I can just
Yep.
carry them through. But when you're playing with two people, like it's so easy to eat the other person, and
That's
when
true.
you do, they lose all the eggs fall on the ground.
That is true.
And
Yeah.
if like let's say I'm playing with Casey if I eat Casey and all her eggs are on the ground, this is a weird sentence, but
eggs.
and I'll be like, okay, well, it's an accident. I'll try to get her to pick it up, but maybe I pick it up by accident. But I have too many eggs; they're just gone now.
Yeah.
So I think that becomes a little bit cumbersome and frustrating. But I do like the design of the game. For me, I'm mainly just playing I'm kind of in between stuff. So I always go back to ongoing games when I'm in between games. So I'm just doing Tetris 99 still. And I just finished Poi, which came out a way long ago. But
Wow.
What is Poi?
it's like an indie game. I think Brian talked about it on the show before, but it's an indie game. It's a platformer. It's very, very Super Mario 64, but honestly does a lot to make itself unique as well. Like they have these really fun challenge levels, and I think it does enough to pave its own way. It also kind of reminds me of Sunshine just because they have the exact same type ropes lined throughout the levels, so it gives you those vibes for sure. But really fun platformer, has a physical release too, which is awesome. So I just beat that, and then that's what I'm playing.
I really want a Switch remake of Super Mario Sunshine.
Yeah.
A lot.
I know.
Yeah.
A lot
But
of people do.
the
Put
problem
a coin
is
in the swear jar.
But with
Yeah.
the one issue, I think someone actually brought up probably on NVC, but the triggers on the Switch don't have I don't know the
There's
word
no,
for it, but
they're
there's
not
no,
analog.
yeah.
They don't have the clicky, and they're
Yeah.
not
Hey,
analog.
if they
yeah.
can make Trials work
Yeah.
on the Switch,
But does it work well?
But then you can bring Sunshine.
Trials works all right, but yeah, Sunshine, sometimes you have to spray the water kind of downward to hit
Exactly.
like a windmill or something. They would have to either change those puzzles or give you,
You could probably use
maybe a shift key almost
or
to do
or
strong
just-
or weak. Yeah.
Yeah.
figure out a way to use motion controls for it somehow.
That could
Yeah.
be good.
I mean, even with the Pro controller, if you maybe
Oh,
tilting.
good
action.
point. Yeah, you could
Yeah.
just tilt.
Yeah, play
That-
point.
Make it
that's-
happen. Let's go.
No, it's a good idea. That's it. Solved.
Done. We're game designers. We're not.
No, not at all.
Get us the game.
So I've been playing SteamWorld Quest like we talked about, and I also finally finished The World Next Door, which we talked about not last week, but the week before.
Yeah.
And I completely agree with Tom that that game just ends, and the way it ends kind of puts a damper on the rest of the game.
Really?
Yeah. There are just a lot
Don't spoil
of...
it, but
I'm not going to
just
spoil it.
unsatisfying or
There are
mean-spirited?
There are loose ends.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Just they introduced a lot of different plot points,
Yeah.
and then don't solve any of them.
Oh, that's too bad.
And but I did learn something which is really cool, is that you can basically unlock different plot points depending on who you talk to and what you do during the daytime when you talk to everyone. And Tom went into a different branching path and learned some things that I did not. But he still ended the game without learning those plot points. So I'm hoping this means there's going to be a sequel and we can learn more and figure it out. But the game wasn't presented in a way for us to expect like an episode 2. But I hope there's another one because I really enjoyed it and I liked it a lot. I thought the puzzle sequences were really cool, which is a side quest, so it was totally optional. But I liked it.
Nice.
Yeah, except the ending, man. I was like,
That's too bad.
yeah.
Hey Ryan, I know, speaking of things we're playing, I keep on extolling the virtues of Mario plus Rabbids, and you just interviewed Yves Guillemot.
Yes. I
Did you ask him whether we're getting another one?
I did. It did come up, and so real quick, IGN Unfiltered I do this. It's a once a month thing. It's like my little pet project here, and thankfully Pears never canceled it because it doesn't get a lot of views.
I need a good show for the commute. I love it.
So
it's for me.
It's like inside the actor's studio, but for game developers, where it's a one-on-one, and it's usually like an hour long. And I have the CEO of Ubisoft, who's also, by the way, he's the co-founder. Like he's been
Chairman,
there since day
everything.
one. Like he is like tied to it. Like he's not just like a suit who they brought in to run the company. Like he's you of Ubisoft.
He's the guy. He's the Ubisoft guy.
And he was really great to talk to. And I brought up, definitely went into the whole working with Nintendo, with Miyamoto, and the whole how Mario and Rabbids came to be. And he did not shut the door on a future opportunity there. And I mean, he's a CEO. He's not going to be announcing products on my stupid little show.
Yeah.
But it seemed like it was a really good experience for them and for Nintendo. And I would love to see a sequel to that.
Yeah,
game. It's so
even if
good.
they expanded into if they did a Metroid version or something, did some
man.
silly crossover with that.
Yeah.
You asked him straight up, can we expect more Nintendo Ubisoft co-productions? And he said, stay tuned, or the equivalent of that. I really liked the interview. You also he told you a little bit about the beginnings of Ubisoft and how a 17-year-old Michel Ancel showed him drawings of Rayman.
Yep.
It's so cool.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they
He was a kid.
Yeah.
he knew that this kid had something, and
Yeah.
and now 30 years later, they're still working together.
That's amazing.
It's really cool. But yeah, if you're ever curious to hear from game developers, because basically my elevator pitch version of the show is I do Unfiltered because I often find the stories behind the games and the game creators to be as interesting, sometimes more interesting than the games themselves. And it was awesome that got the CEO of Ubisoft to come in, and it was a really good episode. So it's on YouTube or IGN. It's also its own podcast. So if you just on anything you want to listen or watch, search for IGN Unfiltered. And there are 41 episodes now. Sadly, not a lot of Nintendo people because it's a sort of a tough wall to crack. You know, I'd love to get Reggie on, especially now that he's leaving and he could really speak
Unveil
to
all the secrets.
But you know,
what really
would
happened?
never.
I'm not holding my breath for that. But yeah, a lot of great game developers I've spoken to over the few years I've been doing the show.
That's awesome. It's a really good show. We drive Teslas, and it's very easy to listen to podcasts.
You
just search for the show in there, and so I've got Unfiltered the whole list already.
I think we
played
take
through.
the BART, so can just
Perfect.
listen on there.
Put it in your ears.
You just type it in.
And 9 times out of 10,
Yeah.
I can't get a seat, so I can't
That's
play
right.
Switch, but I can listen.
Can try to drown out the noise of everyone else around you.
Yeah.
We're sorry.
Yeah. So last week, Zach Ryan asked everyone to write into NVC at IGN.com, and it looks like you guys delivered, and we have a ton of questions to answer, and that means it's time for Question Block, which is a game.
No.
Do we have a sound effect for that?
No.
I was just thinking, like, I needed that.
block.
It needs to be Mario hitting the question block. Ding, 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 ding.
Okay. All right. We'll get that.
So we'll just say, ding.
All
right.
We'll get our
Record
people
that.
on that.
Done.
Done. That's-
Export as MP3.
So first up from Lee Forgione says, hey, NVC Group. What? I was going to say group and crew, so I said Gru.
All good.
I'm with you.
We're all
I am
Grus.
Gru.
We are Gru.
Yeah.
Longtime listener, first-time writer. I recently read an interview in which chief creator at HAL Laboratory, Shinya Kumazaki, was asked about what Kirby's feet look like. His response was that the mysterious composition of Kirby's body is top secret.
You know how he said that with a straight face.
I was curious about what you guys think is underneath those Kirby shoes. Thank you for humoring
Well,
me.
find out when the live-action film set in the real world is made next year, following when Sonic makes
And Mario.
$600 million.
Well, Pokemon is going to make the big bucks. Let's be honest.
No, yeah.
I'm so excited for
But
Detective
Sonic's
Pikachu.
gonna-
There have been. This has been the subject of many memes, and there are horrible pictures on the internet of
Yes.
Kirby with like human feet.
Yeah,
and it looks
that's what
so
I usually
awful.
see. Here, I'm looking it up.
Oh,
Kirby-
Why are
guys,
you
don't do
Googling
it.
No, don't do it.
No,
Spare
I must.
yourself. Why did you do it?
Honestly-
I want to turn this around, but I can't. But anyway, if you want to share in our experience, just
Someone
Google
trade
Kirby's
seats with me.
feet.
I don't want it.
Yeah, you don't
Those
know.
Kirby feet
I mean, they're
pics.
just pink people feet.
No, that's
I think he just has normal bubblegum feet, just like the shape of his shoes.
Yeah,
That's it.
I agree. That would make sense.
I think it's exactly how his little hands are. Like
Yeah.
those little like round nubs.
amoeba-like.
Just that, but on,
Yeah.
on
that's
his
what
feet.
would make sense.
That's
And,
right.
You know
I
how-
mean, Kirby's running around saving the world. He's got to have ergonomically shaped shoes.
It'd be awesome.
I mean, you know how in first-person shooters for years it was a technical limitation. You'd look down in a first-person shooter and you couldn't see your body or
Yeah.
your feet.
Right.
That's how Kirby just is. You just look.
Yep.
There's nothing there. You can't see it.
I'd love to think that he has super hairy, nasty feet.
No,
Like Hobbit feet. Yeah.
So from Scott Bigos, he says, hey guys, with Mortal Kombat 11 coming to Switch, do you think there's a chance of a Mortal Kombat character getting into Smash? If so, which character would it be?
No
No.
chance.
Yeah.
No chance.
Too violent.
In hell.
So I was thinking that too, and then I looked at the roster, and they got Bayonetta and Snake, and they were M-rated
But
games.
They
I-
don't
it's
tear the
not
heads
same.
off of other characters for a living.
Yeah.
There's just no way.
Minus Bayonetta, where that game's definitely more on the like capital V violence, kind of
Right.
like what the game's about, like just really over the top. Yeah, Mortal Kombat is based and rooted in its
Yeah.
violence, and its personality comes from its violence. So I'm gonna say no. For that reason, and even Bayonetta, like I think she had to have like some costume level changes because she was too naked. So
Yeah.
Too naked.
they'd have to like nerf it if they did it, and I think it'd come out really like old school.
And it became exclusively Nintendo, so it was a marketing idea as well to put it in the game. No, I don't think we'll see Mortal Kombat characters.
but
either,
Sub-Zero would be cool.
You just never know. You know,
Sub-Zero or Scorpion?
like I couldn't have predicted
Sub-Zero.
Persona. I couldn't have predicted Joker
That
either.
we're
Right?
getting
That's
we're
what I was
getting
thinking
Joker,
too, so.
but
Yeah.
I couldn't even have predicted Mortal Kombat 11 on the Switch.
no.
So
Yeah. Or
Never
Doom.
know.
Or Doom.
Yeah.
Or Wolfenstein.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of new things. From John Warner, he says, what game genres are missing from Nintendo's catalog? Any ideas on what games could fill those gaps? Personally, I think one of their biggest gaps is stealth games. I think it would be awesome to have a Warrior and Waluigi stealth game that is basically a goofy/stinky cross between Hitman and A Way Out. Been listening for a few years. Thanks for the great show. Ryan, you were a big fan of A Way Out. What do you think about that with
definitely one of my
Wario
favorite
and
games.
Waluigi?
Mandatory co-op. But I would actually go just on the topic I was saying a few minutes ago. But I actually would love to see more first-person shooters on the Switch and stuff. I know it's not the most. It's probably because of the technical prowess of the Switch isn't there relative to the other consoles. But I'd love to see like Nintendo creators. Like one of my favorite first-person games ever was from a Japanese studio that it's a game that would have never been made by the West. And that game was no one's gonna. I'm talking to like one person right now. Breakdown for the original Xbox. It was this incredible sci-fi story. You're this guy that woke up with no memory of you. Okay,
I didn't play this.
If you would remember Breakdown, if you remember it at all, it's sort of the scene that it was most famous for, most remembered by, is you like woke up out of your hospital bed and there was a cheeseburger on the bedside table, and you eat it and you get up and you just vomit it right away, and all in first person, which this game was from 2003 or 2004. Wow. It never left first person, like it was, and it did the head bobs and everything. Anyway, what was cool about that game was the story. Like you got so powerful as that game went on. There's time travel stuff. It was this really interesting. It was a melee. It actually wasn't a shooter. It was a melee game. Like you mostly beat dudes up with your like crazy superpowers. But anyway, that was that's the kind of game where I'd love to see like Nintendo and Japanese studios take an approach for a first-person game on the Switch that would be not just a cookie-cutter version of the same first-person shooters we see on other platforms.
Yeah, I think definitely. I think stealth games is a good point. Tactical shooters. We have team games like Splatoon. We obviously have Fortnite, but we don't. There's not a lot of range, and first-person shooters that's simply the most popular genre in gaming, ahead of RPGs, which come in second. I would love to see that. I'm a big fan of RTS games, and there's just nothing on this platform. It'd be great to see a little bit more. Obviously, we have some turn-based strategy on it, and then real-life racing. There are just very few games there, but there's not. You've got
Gear
that,
Club
and you've got you've got some indie games, but there's nothing. There's not a giant racing title like you have on the other two platforms.
Yeah, and I think racing in general kind of in some ways just always struggles. I mean, there is like the big like realistic ones like Forza.
Yeah.
But other than that, like
Mario Kart, right?
yeah, like the
cartoon
arcade
stuff.
racer genre, it's not really what it was since like the 90s and the early 2000s. So yeah, I would say that, and then same thing with Ryan said, FPS. Really, just honestly, any game that requires like high like technical any of those
They're
games
coming, but they're all ports like Grid,
Exactly.
like Dirt. Like you get some of the older ports coming now, but nothing.
Yeah, I
leading
feel like
the
a lot of the genres that Nintendo doesn't end up having on their platforms are because of like the technical limitations of the hardware. So I would say like basically any of those, and that just is kind of the confines of it being the system that it is. So
and open world honestly is a challenge too, right? Some of the
which is
modern
weird to say with
open
Breath
world
of the Wild,
games,
but
like-
it's true. Like
but
they don't
look how
there's not
much
really
work
a
that
lot.
was,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But we didn't get AC Odyssey. I mean, we got AC3 now.
Western RPGs.
Well, we got
I say
Odyssey
like
streaming.
it's funny. I was saying like
Skyrim.
Eastern styled first person games, but Western RPGs would be great to see more of those.
Yep, for sure.
Like The Witcher,
I'd kind of like to see more.
Witcher would be perfect.
Cyberpunk.
Witcher 3. Cyberpunk could never.
Well,
run.
yeah, no.
You never know.
Yeah.
I want. Are we getting Tropico 6 on the Switch?
I'm not sure. That's a good question.
Yeah, I'm trying to look that up.
It's been a good series for a long time.
According to our April Fools, everything is
Everything
coming
is
to
coming to
Nintendo Switch. So I'm gonna say yes.
No, I don't think it will.
No,
Nope, it's not among the
No,
confirmed
huh?
consoles.
I'm gonna say
But
no.
so more games like Tropico 6, and like I think the same developers also made this game called Surviving Mars, which is a similar type of game, which you manage a colony on Mars. I want to see more city country management games, because I think that kind of genre fits really well with the kind of handheld, and you can pick it up, like make a few decisions, put it in pause, pick it up later. It's not the type of like actiony, need to
Yep,
be
yep.
in the moment right now.
We got Civ 6. We've got some
Yeah.
cool kind of like car mechanic games, that kind of stuff. But
Yeah, some
yeah,
stuff.
you're right.
I want more.
Mm-hmm.
So from William Lang, he says, "Hey MVC, first off, thanks to all the awesome humans and Brian, who is not an right? Like all the awesome humans and Brian making the show and reminding me why Nintendo is so special every week. My question is, are there any games you ever sold or traded in that you look back on now wondering what in God's name you were doing? Get the thing, Will, UK."
Oh my god, I have like the worst one ever for this.
Tell us.
It's so bad that I shouldn't even say it.
No,
it's
say
too
it.
egregious.
It's too late
Mine's
now. You
pretty
have
bad.
to do
Say
it.
it.
But as
No.
like a when I was a kid, I know I'm sure maybe no one else can relate to this, but you kind of like got rid of a lot of your stuff when new stuff came out because you're like, I don't need the N60, I don't need the SNES, the N64 is here. So literally, like a lot of my game collection just straight in the trash, not traded in, not given away. Like I like lost everything. I like don't have my old N64. Like my first system was the
Wow.
SNES Junior was my first console that I personally owned. Don't have that anymore. GameCube gone. Wavebird gone. All of it is basically gone. And I only have a few like random remnants left from it. And some of it was like somewhat intentional, and some of it was just like through moves and like that kind of thing, kind of just like lost in the wayside. But like so much of like PS2 earlier just gone. So I really regret that. I think about it all the time, and I even wondered like my brother's like because we moved out of my parents' house like when we were like younger, like when my parents like split up, I like went to live with my dad, and then like in my mom's old house, like it's now sold to someone else, and we're like, I wonder if like the GameCube's in the crawl space somewhere. Would it be weird to go? Like, what if we just showed up and tried to see if that all that old stuff was there? So those would be my big like regrets. But as far as selling stuff, whenever I sell stuff, I usually just like need the money, so I'm like, it's not really a big deal. And that's what I like about physical, that you can just sell it and keep getting new stuff and keep rotating it out, because I don't replay stuff that often, and I noticed that like what I regret the most is getting rid of the hardware, even though the hardware is not that expensive. Like especially with like older stuff, like I really took care of my consoles. So like now like my new N64, it's like a little bit janky because people don't like keep it as clean and as nice as like I did when I was a kid. So those would be like my big regrets, just like a trash bag full of the greatest hits of the GameCube.
This question makes me sad. When I was in college, in Japan, I used to buy Super Famicom, Super NES games, and then story-based games. When I finished them, I'd bring them back to the store, do this big trade-in thing, and buy new ones, and finance that with my part-time job at the time. And so, unfortunately, that meant all of the big Square RPGs, Final Fantasy IV, Final Fantasy V, Dragon Quest, all of those games went back to the store after I finished them. And like, I changed my mind with FF6. So I still have 6 in the Japanese version from them, and some of the later games like Live Alive, Seiken Densetsu Secret of Mana 2, all that stuff. But the early games, I traded all of them back. So sad.
Yeah.
I want them again.
Similar thing for me, I remember. So the NES was my first system, and I ended up owning a bunch of systems over time, but we were pretty much straight down the middle of the road middle class. So if I wanted another one, it was like, save the birthday money and save up and the allowance and all everything, and then I'd have to trade in whatever I had. And so, the NES was my first system, and I probably had a good, 10 or 12 games. And all of it got traded in to move into the 16-bit era. And it, in hindsight, that was like, oh, I wish it made, like you were saying, Janet, it makes a ton of sense at the time.
Right.
In hindsight, it's like, oh, I kind of wish I'd kept it. Although, thankfully, the NES Classic has alleviated a lot of that self-imposed guilt from unloading that system. Especially because the controller is exactly the same. So it's a really similar experience. There's the NES Classic doesn't have everything that in my collection on it, and I wish it just. I don't understand why the NES Classic, it doesn't just have an Ethernet or a Wi-Fi chip in it and literally have every single game that Nintendo could legally acquire the rights to and sell for
listening,
That'll be the
Nintendo?
Switch.
$3.
That'll be the Switch.
I mean,
Yeah.
I hope so,
Yep.
because I'd like to buy. I had like, it'd probably be terrible now, but just I had the whatever the NES port of Paperboy from the arcade was,
Oh my
and
God,
that was
Paperboy's so hard.
It's so hard, and like I would love to try it now. I'll bet I would do worse at it now than when I was a kid. But Paperboy, Road Blasters, another like old futuristic arcade racing game. But there were a lot of games like that. Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game, the port of the So there's lots of stuff like that that I'd still love to have access.
Yeah, there's something nice too about like you mentioning kind of those obscure titles, like the weird stuff you had, because everyone, well, mostly everyone, if you like really liked games, had those big hits. But like it's the weird stuff that you get really excited about. Like I still do have some of my PSP UMDs, and like I found my old UMD of Hitch a few weeks ago, like the movie Hitch, and I was so excited. I was like, oh my god,
Wow.
I watched so much of this at my grandma's house when she didn't have cable, and I was so bored. So I love like that weird stuff too, and I think that's what goes missing when you do kind of almost start kind of filtering out that personal collection.
Games with licenses built in, so obviously it's hard to play an old Madden game now, you know, or any of the games that used to have the NFL license or the FIFA license, all of that. I did trade in Ogre Battle too for the Super NES, and that's not included in any collection now, so you can't even get that with Super NES Classic. Those are bummers.
So I had the sort of thing whenever I got a new console, my parents would be like, all right, you got to get rid of your old one.
Oh, no.
And, yeah. So they tried to pull that when they got me the Sega Genesis, and I had a Super Nintendo, and I refused. We kept
Good.
it. But then when I got the 64, my mom did it in a different way at that point. Actually, this was before the 64. It was when I was still in elementary school, and she came to me and was like, hey, you have cousins in Oregon that would really appreciate a game system, and you have a Sega Genesis now, and you have a Game Boy now, so they would really, really appreciate these games. And I was like, okay, Mom, you can send them my Super Nintendo.
Oh,
And
my God.
I wrote them a letter.
Oh, my
with
God.
And with like, you know, they used to have those book fairs in elementary school.
Scholastic Book Fair?
Yeah, I
love
had a
book
game
fair.
code book full of codes for Super Nintendo games. So I like wrote a letter. It's like, these are all the pages of the best codes with the games that I
Oh my God,
have.
that's
and I
too
sent
cute.
them to him. I was like, I don't know, I was probably in like the fourth
How guides
grade.
write a review.
Yeah, right. It's like,
Take
how
this
you
on
beat
your
the Yeah, it's like The Lion King, the second level was garbage. Just
Yeah,
skip it with this code.
how prescient for your career that's
That's really
yeah.
adorable.
Those were hard copy wikis right there.
Yeah, it was. And then with the 64, when I got the GameCube, my parents were like, okay, get rid of it. And I again said no, but I did get rid of all games that weren't Zelda or Pokemon. And that included Banjo-Tooie and Smash. And I still regret that.
Wow.
Yeah. And Mario
I
Party
still
2.
have Kazooie and Tooie and all that stuff.
Yeah, and some other 64
I
games.
lost Blast
This is a
Core
sad
again.
question.
Yeah.
So I lost Blast Core back in the 90s, the Rare game, and then I bought it again, and it disappeared again, and I bought it again, and now it disappeared again.
Wait,
It was
isn't it
here in the
on
office.
Rare Replay?
Yeah, but that's not the same. I want my copy for my
That's fair.
N64. Yeah, Rare Replay.
It just
I don't
keeps
even know where that
disappearing.
is. That's somewhere in my house.
The
too.
cropping of Rare
Digitally
Replay.
under Xbox, I hope.
I feel
Yes.
like Rare Replay didn't really work
yeah.
as well as people thought it would. Because that cropping, too, they had like that weird like visual on the side. It was just kind of awkward looking. I don't know.
Yeah.
So we have one final question for Question Block this week, and it is from Dylan Jensen. He says, NVC crew, who of the NVC team has the best mustache? Who of the Nintendo world has the best mustache? If these two picks are chosen, who would win in a fight? Bestest of wishes, Dylan Jensen.
For Nintendo World, I would say Wario because it's so zaggy that has to take a lot of time.
Well, Wario, what does Waluigi's look like?
It's like, isn't it curved on the side?
Yeah,
It's like
okay.
that- it's
I
like
think
that
I agree
handlebar
with you.
thing.
It is Wario. Wario is the best
I mean, it'd
mustache.
be definitely. I would love to see Waluigi against Zack Ryan because they're basically the same person.
Yeah, that's true. That's according to the fridge.
They have the
yes.
same legs, by the way. Look
I
up,
mean, did
look
you
up
guys-
pictures
did you
of
guys
Zack
see-
Ryan and Waluigi.
Yeah, did you guys see Zach's costume last year? Because he
What was it,
It
Casey?
was Waluigi.
Yeah,
and it
you
was,
couldn't tell.
It was really good.
It was so creepy.
It's a really
I
good
thought he
costume.
had finally come to kill us.
Waluigi. Why am I not on Smash? No.
I would say Jonathan from season 3 of Queer Eye. No. Oh, wait. Sorry. Nintendo characters.
Yep.
Somebody out there got that reference.
I got
It's
that.
fine. Yeah.
I'm right here.
They're 4 people.
Yeah. How could it be anybody other than Waluigi? I mean, that's the quintessential.
Or
answer.
Wario. Wario or
I still
Waluigi.
think
Wario's got a
it's,
good
it's
one.
very elaborate. It's not good
Yeah.
looking, but he worked really hard on it.
Right.
And I can
So-
respect that.
Dylan, that's a hard-hitting question.
So who like was it just Zach?
Are we
for the best
counting?
one?
No, it's Zach.
Are we
Zach's winning.
Wait, are we counting Sam as
Oh.
part of the NVC crew? Because Sam's got a good mustache.
No, Sam has a better mustache.
He does,
Yeah.
but I
You're
wouldn't
right.
consider him NVC. I think of him more as Game Scoop. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Don't tell him I said that.
He's super NVC.
Super NVC. All right.
Sam.
So I want you guys to tell us Wario or Waluigi, and then Sam or Zach. Who has the best mustache?
Okay.
And we're considering time it takes to style, actual appearance, and elaborateness.
This is going to be Sam in a landslide.
Yeah.
An absolute.
So
just-
please let us know. Put in your votes for those four.
As far as which character or which versus the actual people would win. Wario could kill anyone because he's gross and he has that motorcycle that can just run down people.
That's true.
Waluigi, I don't think he could kill Sam, but I do think he could kill Zach Ryan. I feel like
this
Zach
is
would just
now
make
dark.
Zach
You
would
know
just make
what?
snide
Also,
comments.
You're
and
no-
Waluigi
you're
would
right.
just like
Wario
take him
can't
down.
die
It
in
does
some of
say
his
who,
games.
who would win in a fight, and I
This is the full-
totally didn't
it is
consider
a
that.
2-part question.
Who would win in a
You will
fight?
have both of those parts answered.
Dylan, what have you wrought?
We're gonna be thinking about this all week. All week. We want answers. Leave us answers in the comments, and we'll talk about it next week as well. So, but that is about all the time we have this week on NVC. Janet, where can we find you?
I'm on Twitter at Gameonysus, which is GameOnysus.
I
And
think I can bring that back. I did. I
yeah,
brought it back.
And
there
that's
we
basically
go.
waiting for me. I'm also on Facebook page and Instagram under the same handle.
Awesome.
Pear Steiner. I guess it's on the screen. So
Parajan, you can see it right down
well, that's
there.
only YouTube. So
Well, you got
yeah.
you got audio listeners.
Yeah.
Parajan,
Yeah, the
audio listeners.
What about you,
Thanks for
Ryan?
the support.
You can find me on Twitter at DMC_Ryan, and mentioned it before, but yeah, if check out IGN Unfiltered sometime, you might like it.
And again, you can find me at ShinyKCD. I'm Casey DeFreitas, and thank you so much for listening to NVC, IGN's Nintendo podcast. You can listen on your favorite podcasting platform or watch on YouTube every Thursday at 3 p.m. And remember, this is the only place you can.
Get the thing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There we go.
Thank you.